So the last episode was filled with ups and downs. Unfortunately, the majority of the ups were reserved for the portion of the video that got deleted thanks to the power outage, whereas all the negatives were reserved for the actual video, where we ended up losing to the Chicago Blackhawks in 7 games, which I'm still pretty disappointed about. I mean, it was a solid debut for our new young core. They did really well, but we could have at least gotten to the second round, and arguably should have gotten to the second round. Despite a weaker defense core, it's still better than Pekka Rinne, or at least I thought. But regardless, during that series, I talked about how I was kind of overlooking the series in general, because I knew we had a major offseason ahead of us, and indeed, we do. In this episode, we get through this offseason. Hopefully, we can make it somewhat of a quicker process, which a quick offseason and a video of mine, that's the biggest oxymoron I think I've ever heard. But we are going to get down to business here. Now, I do want to try and get some of these contracts sorted before going to the re-sign phase for once. We'll see how that works out for me. And as well, we have the Chicago Wolves to follow along with in the AHL. We'll see what they can do. Now, as far as goaltending is concerned, I'm still looking at bringing in Malcolm Subban as a backup next year, depending on how much he's asking for, which, in all honesty, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm going to bump it up to like 2.2. For 1 year, that's not bad, because we've seen what some backup goaltenders fetch on the open market. So if we can bring Malcolm back for that price, that'll be solid, and hopefully we can find a starter through free agency. Otherwise, he's still our go-to guy for next year, which isn't exactly ideal. Now, Haig and Jet Wu also have expiring deals. Now, here is what I'm worried about. If you look at the main roster now, Theodore's probably not going anywhere. Braunstrom's probably not. But you have Norton, you have Hatainen, you have Eklund and Gertzen. Kane will be ready sooner rather than later. It's a tough call as far as how much longer Haig and Wu are going to be on this team. So for them, I'm thinking 1-2 years max, depending on what they're asking for. Haig is asking for 2, but 2.8, which is a little bit much. We can afford it. We'll see if the 85% trick works. That'll bring it down to 2.4, so we'll do 2.5. Or 2.4.5, I should say. $2,450,000 per. There we go. Let's just sort it out that way. I'm good with that. That's a little bit expensive, but again, having seen what the asking price is for some of these guys on the open market, it's actually not that bad. Jetwoo is going to be a little bit cheaper than that, though. We might be able to get him at 1.6. We'll aim for that. Dion Phaneuf, of course, will not be signed. And then forward-wise, we have Tate Dwyer, which, yeah, we need to get him signed. What is he looking for? 7.6 isn't bad. What if we bump that? Oh, boy. Okay. So here's the deal. As you can see, we have plenty of cap space right now. 8 years is expensive, but it makes sense to get him locked up long term. Now, with the 85% trick, that basically brings it to 9.7, which isn't that bad. That's under Jack Eichel price, but when you consider how expensive everyone else is going to be as well, it could be problematic. So it's kind of a tough call as far as what to do here. So we could sign him for 9.7, but if we bring it down to, say, 4 years, what would this be, like 7.3? 7.03. Okay. So we could go 7.1 million for 4 years or 9.7 for 8. And I gotta be honest, that extra 2 million could be a pretty big factor, but I think I'm gonna try to sign him for 8. No guarantees he accepts that, but it would make sense. With Dubé, Robertson, Stelio, I'm going to wait. I want to see if that's their actual overall. I could just double check, but I want to see if that's their actual overall or if that's because of the morale system. If Dylan Dubé is actually an 81, we might just be able to get some compensation for him. There's an outside chance of that. So let's take a look here. The Wolves swept the Manitoba Moose as Subban rejects Haig, Wu, and Dwyer all accept. Okay, so there we go. We got Tate Dwyer for 8 years, which is solid. The maximum contract extension. Whether or not I live to regret that contract, time will tell. But it's not too often you end up signing a third-round pick to an 8-year contract extension. So that's a nice sign for us. As we finally get our answer as to who the Wolves are playing next, it will be the San Antonio Rampage, who actually swept their first round matchup too, so we had to wait for the other series to finish. What I want to do here, though, is just double check over who we could potentially bring back. And with Malcolm, it's kind of a tough call here, buddy. I'm going up to 2.5. If you reject that, I'll talk to you in the re-sign phase. I do have the money to sign him, but it's tough. I don't like handing out the big money deals unless I have to, whether it is like signing a Dion Phaneuf to a stupid contract, David Backes as well. So we'll see how it goes. As we'll sim, all right, so Malcolm's back next season, 2.5, not bad. We'll sim our first 3 games against San Antonio. As Toby McChesney's back, we'll just go best lines here. And we have a 2-1 split in our favor. We lost game 1, we've won the last 2. Let's sim the next 2 games since we can't lose the series in that time. As Kurtzen's injured, that's unfortunate. Lose game 4, lose game 5. So we're facing elimination here in game 6 against the Rampage. We end up winning it. We're going to game 7. I don't want to risk it by jumping in. Let's just see if we can win it here. Game 7 for the Wolves. Can we get the win? Yes, we can. So we are off to the Western Conference Final. We'll be taking on the Colorado Eagles, who have been on one hell of a run to get here as well. So not bad. A good bit of experience for some of our younger players. Now, quickly, I'm going to revisit potential contract offers. Dylan Dubé, what are you looking for? Okay, we should probably re-sign you then. Here's the thing. Same thing I think with Dubé. Just some of the guys we have in the system. I'm not sure how much longer these guys are going to be on the team. And I don't necessarily want to re-sign them for the sake of immediately trading them. But I really don't think I'd get an offer sheet for Dubé. So I'd rather just sign him and then potentially trade him anyway. He wants 1 year, which is fine. I don't know if we'd have him for much longer than that anyway. What about Robertson? What if I drop that down to a 1-year deal? I can't help but think I'd end up regretting a 2-way contract, to be honest. Just seems like it'd be the way to go. What if we go... So, in fairness, let's go $900K. He should still accept that. And then Stelio... Stelio. I don't know. I'll look to bring back Stelio for 1 more season as well. This might be the one that I regret, but I could just make a change and a trade to change the situation. Now, Ryan Carpenter, Nick Henry, thinking they're going to go. I love Ryan Carpenter, obviously, and he's been a good part of this team for a while now, but I think he's gone, and then Henry just hasn't developed and won't. So I think we're pretty much good to go heading into the re-sign phase ahead of time. So now it's just a matter, well, we'll have to see if they accept their offers, of course, but now it's just a matter of finishing up the regular season, getting to the draft. I have no idea what we're going to do at the draft, so this should be fun. But let's see, Robertson, Stelio, Dubé, all accept. All right, cool. So the re-sign phase will be quick and easy for us, which is what I like to see. And I also like to see that. We have a 3-0 series lead in the conference final. Can we punch our ticket to the Calder Cup final? Yes, we can. We sweep the Colorado Eagles. We're going to the Calder Cup final. 11-3 record. That is tremendous. We will be playing the Hartford Wolfpack, who are 11-5. So there you go. Chicago Wolves. Let's see what we can do. Perhaps our first bit of hardware. All 3 games go to overtime to begin the series, but we have a 2-1 series lead. Game 4 is a win. We are 1 win away from winning the Calder Cup. God damn. Let's take one more look at this team. We haven't hyped this up nearly enough. Why isn't Edit Lines on screen right now? What the hell? EA? That's really weird. It should still be there, but okay. I know I can look at it from here, but still. So for Baduk, Steetson Bembridge, Gerard, Fedorov, Rizzi, Datsuk, Henry Steos, Nilstorp, Tyler Wong, and Francis Perron, or Fabian Perron. Sorry. I forgot we had a Fabian Perron. The defense is looking all right, and then the goaltender led by Yanni Kapainen, who's done pretty damn well. Not bad. Not bad at all. Do I want to jump in to watch a Calder Cup celebration? Normally I'd say yes, but number 1, we might still lose, and secondly, we have a lot to get to in this episode, so let's just see if we have it. Have we won a Calder Cup? Gilstorp gets hurt. That's unfortunate. And he gets hurt in a loss, so it's not over yet. 3-1 series lead, or actually a 3-2 series lead. Game 6 on home ice. Can we take home the Calder Cup? Let's find out. Drum roll, please. There it is. There it is. Kapainen fractures his collarbone in the game-winning game. Or the cup in the game-winning game. Yeah, let's go with that. The game-winning. Hashtag the game-winning game. In the cup-winning game, our starting goalie fractures his collarbone, but that's okay because we got the job done. The Penguins win the Stanley Cup, but we take home the real cup, the one that matters. The Calder Cup goes to the Chicago Wolves, a 44-22-10 record in the regular season, and they get the job done in the playoffs. Not too shabby. Again, I feel bad for not making a bigger deal out of it, but again, we got a lot to get to in this episode. But let's take a look here. So Bembridge, Fedorov, Rizzi, and Girard leading the way, and in goal, Kapainen with a .928. Caden Nash didn't do much, but he did stand between the pipes as we won the cup. So he's got that going for him. Pittsburgh wins the Stanley Cup in 5 games over the St. Louis Blues. The same Blues who ended up beating the Blackhawks in 5. So case in point, I feel like we could have beaten Chicago and maybe put up a little bit of a better fight, as we are 5 years into this now, and in every single year an Eastern Conference team has won the cup. Pretty ridiculous. Vancouver took home the President's Trophy. Brock Besser, the Art Ross, and the Hearts. Boqvist wins the Norris. Patrick Kane and Lady Byng for the second year in a row. Elijah Lackey, your Calder winner, joins Steele, Yamamoto, Tolvanen, and Middlestat. Conn Smythe goes to Sidney Crosby again. The Vezina to Braden Holtby, 2 years running. As Robin Leonard wins the Jennings. That's a low blow. We don't even have to talk about it. Dahlin, the Masterton, the Selke to Ryan O'Reilly. Besser, the Ted Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard goes to Kane and Tavares. I was going to say Taves. Kane and Tavares end up winning the Rocket Richard. Down in the AHL, we have Girard, our very own, putting up the most points in the league. Was also league MVP. All right, not bad. And scored the most goals. Holy shit. What is this guy's potential? Please tell me it's great. Angelidis was the Rookie of the Year for the Charlotte Checkers, as Mitch Van de Sampo was Defenseman of the Year, and Kapainen was Goaltender of the Year. So maybe you shouldn't be all that surprised that we just won the Calder Cup. And MVP of the playoffs was Kapainen as well. We had the league's best goalie and the league's best offensive players. So there you go. A very successful season for the Chicago Wolves. And I do want to take a look at how good Girard is, because that could be somebody for us in the future or not. Medium top 9. But still, it did well enough to be an AHL All-Star. My God, 43 goals. Puck skills are kind of weak. Offensive awareness. Holy hell, though. Glass cannon. Look at that shot. So at the very least, we have... we have an elite sniper in the AHL. So he'll be able to help lead the Wolves to success in the future. With that completes the 2022-2023 season. We are on to bigger and better things at the NHL level, I certainly hope. Of course, down the AHL level, or down the AHL in general, things went quite well. The Anaheim Ducks win the lottery, thanks to Columbus. The Ducks also have the 11th pick. Very nice. As far as the draft class is concerned, we have everyone scouted except for this guy. Rositas. Do we not have... Here, hold on. Oh, spam the button. We'll view retired players. Do we not have a scout in Austria? We must not. As Corey Perry, Thomas Vanek, Jeff Carter, and others all call it a career. David Backus as well. You're welcome for just paying you a boatload of money. Enjoy your retirement. Brent Burns, Yandel, Bufflin, Weber, Dion Phaneuf also called it a career, as did Roberto Luongo. So there we go. 584 career wins for Luongo. Absolutely ridiculous. It is one day before the draft. Well, I tried to stop it in time to scout out Rositas. It just hasn't happened. I do wonder, can I find out anything about him in one day? Let's see. We do not have a scout in the EBEL. It's the one league that we've kind of avoided. You know what? I don't even know if we're going to be able to draft this guy, so who really cares? I doubt. I don't think we have anything to use, do we? We have one pick in each round, if I remember right, but we really, unlike last year, don't have the assets to sit here and trade up. We'll take a look here. I don't know why that sorts by value. Let's go by year. Yeah, so we have one pick. I don't know why that's out of order, but we have one pick in each round. I don't really know who we'd have to be able to trade, to even potentially move up. Unless we wanted to give up on like a Greer, which admittedly might not be the worst idea. Eugene Greer, don't know if the former fourth, in fairness, he was a fourth round pick, so moving on from him might not be the worst idea. But from there, like even a Cody Glass or a Nick Suzuki, that wouldn't be enough to really trade up high into the first round. We might end up having to move those two eventually anyway, but I don't think they have the value to get a trade done. Same thing here, like Bobrovsky and Christie. We could potentially move the two of them, but there's still an outside chance of them developing, I'd say. So, I mean, between Bobrovsky, Christie, that one forward, we have some pieces to move, and, okay, I guess we do have a way to trade up if we wanted to. Now, obviously, Leonov's trailing quite far behind Dirksen and Gervais Chouinard. We could move Leonov in a pick. Okay, I'm not saying I'm going to trade up into the top 5, all right? I'm not. But if a team wants to move a pick, it would make sense. So let's see what happens. We'll take a look. We'll see if anyone wants to make a move, and maybe it'll make sense for us to do something. Anaheim, understandably, after winning the lottery, they don't want to do anything. Winnipeg. Oh, God, I'm going to be trading up to the second pick, aren't I? Winnipeg wants to deal the second pick in the draft. Nashville? Nashville doesn't want to trade. Who's up next? Was it Minnesota? It was Minnesota. And then Calgary's after that. Minnesota doesn't want to deal. Does Calgary? I cannot believe Winnipeg wants to trade. Calgary doesn't either. Okay. How often have you seen teams in the top 5 want to trade? Because it's an extreme rarity for me. Do the Jets have any interest in those 3 goaltending prospects? Because they have interest in Greer, I saw immediately, and for defensemen, no interest in Bobrovsky and Christie. So we could use Greer. Goaltending-wise, no interest in any of the 3. Oh boy, do I want to do this after trading up last year? Do I want to do this? Again, they have interest in Greer. He's a 60 overall, 19 years old. He's got a long way to go if he's ever going to develop, but he could. There's some potential there. Whereas with Leonov, there's just no way. He's too far behind the other 2. I'm gonna maybe explore this. Maybe. Possibly. I wonder how far away we are. Do they need a goaltender? Can I make myself feel better that way? They have Hellebuck, Comrie. They don't really have a project goaltender. They got some decent NHL options. Comrie's on an expiring deal. In a way, they could use a prospect goaltender. How much more would I have to add to this? Is a 3rd round pick enough? Leonov and a 3rd, is that enough? Oh my God, okay. Okay, here, folks. I think I have to, don't I? It's a depth goaltender that we're never going to use, who might still develop, but he won't be as high of an overall as some of the goalies we already have. We have a good amount of goaltending depth. I think I have to. Right? Is a 5th round pick considered just a touch? It's not, because of course it isn't. A 5th round pick would never be just a touch. What about a 3rd, a 5th, and a 6th in Leonov for a 2nd overall pick? Still rejected. Okay, because again, EA doesn't know what just a touch means. Is the 4th rounder enough? Holy shit. All right. You watch. I'll have to add another 1st round pick. Is that an okay? So we have the number 2 overall pick. God, people are going to either love that or hate that, aren't they? Right. So Anaheim's going to be choosing in the next 24 seconds. They're probably going to take Typalos, which leaves us Josh Fotinos or that defenseman that we know nothing about, Rositas. How good is Fotinos? Oh my god. Okay, we're on the board, on the clock. Holy hell. Oh man, no, don't you show me a Solani comparison. Oh my god. Like, can we... Okay. So, Typalos is off the board, as we expected. Number one, like I said, some people might not be happy about this, but hey, the option was there. Now the problem is, we could probably use that defenseman a little bit more, right? In terms of a top six, I mean, we have our top five, for sure. And then as far as the final member of that top six, whether it's eventually Greer, we have Glass, Suzuki, Roach. We might not necessarily need another forward, but it could happen. Whereas defensively, yeah, I mean, Kane, Norton, Bobrovsky should develop. Christie might. Hatainen. We could probably use another defensive prospect. I mean, if we want to say the future of our defense is Kane, Norton, Bobrovsky, Theodore, Hatainen, Bronnstrom, like that could work. And there's also Gertzen and Eklund. Like, we have a need for another defensive prospect, but we also have the need for another forward prospect. Kind of. The problem is, I'm going to have to choose between a goalie we know nothing about and this amazing offensive dynamo. I mean, do I want to turn my team into the Toronto Maple Leafs? Just all offense and nothing else? Morgan Riley and Freddie and... I know, it's a joke. Calm down. Oh boy, right. No one else in the top five wanted to trade. This is a rough call here, fellas, and like the three women that watch videos consistently. Fotinos. Oh my god, you're so good. You're so good. It's not even fair. EA, how can you do this to me, even though you had no idea I'd trade up to get the number 2 pick? So there's two defensemen in the top five. You got Bernard LaBelle. Jesus Christ, he had 49 points. A's and B's. Hedman comparison, even though he's only 6 foot. And then Rositas we know nothing about, but he's probably not going to be a point getter. Are you... Okay, hold on. Time out. Time out. No. Why'd you freeze? Why did you freeze? What? EA, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. What happened? EA? Aww. So on the bright side, it did autosave as we got to the draft, but I can't help but wonder if that was a warning to not trade up. Or not, because we still have the second pick and it saved once we made the trade. Okay, I'm weirded out and I still don't know what the hell to do. Again, we could probably use both. We might need a defenseman, a bit more than someone on offense, but Josh Fotinos looks like an absolute gem. I just don't know. Now here's what I'm wondering. Is Ottawa willing to make a deal? They're not. Good. Well then. Now I know Calgary wasn't, right? Okay, but I might do something dumb here. Not quite to last year's extent, but I might do something dumb here, okay? And if I do, I plead for your forgiveness if it's something that kind of ruins your interest in the series. With the number 2 overall pick, no, we're not going to auto-draft, I can promise you that. With the number 2 overall pick, I am going to take Mr. Josh Fotinos for obvious reasons. And our top 6 is going to be disgusting and really not going to be able to have any sort of longevity because it's going to be way too expensive. But still, I'm taking Josh Fotinos. Now, here's the one downside as well. It's an all-Western Conference top 5, in case you haven't noticed. So that doesn't help in terms of our direct competition getting better. O'Neill went 3rd, which means those 2 defensemen are still available. So here's my plan. I let these 2 teams decide for me. Hopefully Minnesota takes one of those defensemen. And it took LaBelle. Gotta admit, that's kind of who I was hoping would still be on the board, was LaBelle, because he was the point getter out of the 2. So that kind of sucks, ever so slightly. But that's not to say that if I could trade for the Calgary pick, because here's my thinking, right? Now we have a top 5, now 6 with Fotinos, which means Greer can be traded. If we send Greer to Calgary, we get a defenseman. Crazy. Kind of overkill, I know. But it's a possibility. The question is, what's value looking like considering Calgary doesn't want to trade this pick? We do still have a second and another first-round pick to work with. So I'm willing to test this out. I kind of wanted LaBelle, so maybe I should have been a little bit more aggressive, but I was hoping to be able to maximize this trade because, of course, I knew this would be expensive. So, if we use Greer in the 16th pick and say we safety net this with a little bit, what's this looking like? Still rejected, huh? What about now? Still rejected. See, this is the problem, man. The only reason why we were even able to trade up this year is because teams wanted to Winnipeg wanted to make a move, as opposed to this situation where Calgary just doesn't give a damn, and I might not be able to get that defenseman after all, which would kind of suck. Sweeten it just a touch. Will that go through? Okay. So I just used Eugene Greer and a 16th for the 5th pick. Again, I kind of wish LaBelle was still on the board for obvious reasons. Especially, too, kind of looking at those grades. He's definitely more offensive-oriented as a two-way and has a harder shot. And the problem is, of course, we don't know anything about Fotinos. However, Fotinos was projected to be 3rd and is still available at 5. So we're going to take the chance with Lubomir Fotinos, who's also 18, but he was playing in a men's league. We don't know a damn thing about him. But I'm going to do it. So, yeah. Fotinos and Rositas. Yeah, that just happened. So we traded Leonov and picks to Winnipeg for the rights to draft Fotinos, and then Greer and a 16th pick to Calgary for the rights to draft Rositas. So a second and a 5th for a 1st, a 3rd, Greer, Leonov, and a couple of minor picks. Is that worth it in the long haul? I don't know. Is that perhaps overkill? Maybe. But again, it's another case of having the assets to make these deals. We don't really have much left in terms of draft picks. It's not as crazy as it was last year. Here's my issue, right? It is a little bit of a conflict of it's like, okay, well, holy hell. Are some people going to be upset about that, right? Because obviously, I've been doing this for long enough where it's like, yeah, you can't please everybody. I understand that. But I do wonder sometimes, if we go down this path a bit too frequently, like back-to-back drafts, is that overkill? Oh my God. Now, that's not a good save percentage, but here, food for thought. We just gave up a medium elite goalie in the Winnipeg trade. We could now get back another medium elite goalie. If that's not a sign that EA is okay with me doing what I just did, there's also another Fragapani, which would be great. Different series, of course, but it's looking like a hell of a draft, too. Ciolfido's listed as a gem. D-skating, no thank you. Right. I'm not going to sit here and try to justify it. It is what it is. The question is, do we take Maddox Holt, who's listed as a gem, or do we take that goalie? Do we take a gem who might be low elite, or do we take a goalie guaranteed medium elite? We do already have some goalies. We do know that Toivonen's starting grades are going to be low, to the point where it's like, yeah, he's probably trade bait in the future. I'm going to take the... Oh, man, do I take the risk with Holt? I'm going to take the risk with Holt. Normally, I'd take the goalie, just for the trade value. But I'm going to take the risk with Holt because maybe somehow, someway, he's medium elite and half decent. So we have Fotinos, Rositas, and Holt. Could have gone with a forward defenseman and the goaltender. Probably going to regret not taking that goalie, but it is what it is. At this point, it's the 5th round. I'm just going to start looking for best value here. Hello, medium elite gem of a goaltender. All right, well, that's that problem solved. Yep, Keegan Coburn, welcome aboard. That's that problem solved. Okay, everything is going perfectly for me in this draft right now. Maybe it was meant to be. Maybe the EA gods are shining their light down upon me and saying, it's okay, be happy with what you're doing, because it's the right choice. Maybe. Amir Day, not looking that great. Mikola, not much to go off of. Good old Gene Sterling, same thing. Bryant Weirkoch, absolutely not. Isaiah James, absolutely not. Tim Keane, absolutely not. Rene Bourdaloue, absolutely not. Calvin Emberton, no. Alan Flynn, this is not looking too good here. What about DiPietro? 20-year-old. And Mats Rodin, not as much to go off of. When in doubt, take the goaltender, right? I mean, we already took one. There's no other gems in this draft. So for me, there's one of the 2 goalies. There's the confirmed low elites who didn't look all that great, especially the E-skating Weirkoch, where it's like, is he ever going to develop? Probably not. Not a big fan of that E-grade skating. Daniel DiPietro, on the other hand, he's 20. The grades might not be that great, but he could be worth it. I'm going to take Nathaniel DiPietro with this pick. I don't know why. Just kind of like the fact that he can actually move his feet, unlike the other guy who is extremely slow. And that ends this draft. So we get Fotinos, Rositas, Holt, Coburn, and DiPietro. Obviously, the controversy is going to come with me trading into the top 5 twice this year. At least it wasn't 3 times, right? But we had the assets. Oh my God, okay. I'm going to re-sign some scouts. We had the assets to make the moves. I made the moves. We have another elite forward in the bunch. See, that's what I mean. At the start of the episode where I'm like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. There's no way to plan for the fact that, for once, a team actually wanted to trade out of the top 5. The only reason any of that just happened is because of Winnipeg. I guarantee if Winnipeg doesn't want to trade that pick, we just settle for the 16th selection or whatever the hell it was. Was it 16th or 18th? I don't even remember. That we sent to Calgary. If you're upset about this, blame Winnipeg. Because we have Subban, Kapainen, Nash. We need to sign Dirksen. You're lucky I didn't trade Dirksen too. Gervais Chouinard needs to be signed, so goaltending situation isn't entirely settled, but that'll be fine for now. I am glad that we solved some of these contract discussions previously. That's really going to help us here. See, our defense is already sorted. We'll look to sign Rositas soon. And then forward-wise, we're also looking good. Ryan Carpenter, buddy, you've been one of my favorite players in the series thus far. The perfect bottom 6 role. You're gone, though. I hate to see it. And then Nick Henry as well. I just don't think you're going to develop. We're going to let go of you. Of course, too low of an overall to get any compensation. Sanderson. Yeah, we'll give Sanderson a chance. Why not? Why not? Sign him up. Duclair, obviously not. Bottom 6 potential. He can leave. And Quincy, the low elite. We'll give him an opportunity as well. So, yeah, thankfully, due to the early contract negotiations, the re-sign phase is quick and easy for us. If anything, it mainly comes down to the scouts, as all the young players have signed. Beautiful. So we are good to go, cruising towards the start of free agency, as all of our scouts are back as well. I guess we'll go to player morale. What's up? Eklund. What's going on, buddy? I'm not happy that you chose to trade away Eugene Greer. Hockey is... No, it's going to make us a better team. It's going to make us a better team. I mean, really, I'd go with any of these. We'll be better off in the long run. No, it's going to make us a better team, buddy. There you go, Eklund. That's right. Get on the same page. I mean, I get it. Winning with friends is great, but who's to say we would have won with Mr. Greer here? We're probably going to win with the forward and defenseman that we just drafted, though. I can kind of guarantee that. Let's take a look at this free agent class. Jonathan Drouin, William Nylander, Tarasenko, Rantanen, Wenberg, Patrick Kane. God damn. Look at some of the asking prices. Holy shit. Now we have $55 million in cap space, which in a few years is going to be, oh my. In a few years, that cap space is going to be gone. A decent chunk of it might be gone right now. Andrei Vasilevsky. Routinely dominant. Talk about the goaltender that we need. He might be it. We could try to sign Jonathan Quick as a stopgap until some of our prospects are ready. See if at 37 years old he has any magic left. But that's it, really. If we were to go two-way, are there any young goaltenders that were undrafted? Helmerson, Paul, yeah. There's a couple of goaltenders that went, quite a few goaltenders that went undrafted, as you can see there, that are looking for max-level deals. Whether it be Brody, Ciarelli, Whitfield, Westcott. Couple of goalies that might be interesting. Paulson as well might end up being high fringe, but goaltending-wise, we're already good to go. It's not as if we need to take a risk on any unsigned players. Man, it's just whether or not we look to go after Vasilevsky. Who else is interested? Nashville and... Oh, man, I mean, just for the reason alone that those are the two teams interested. I think we have to go for him. Just to put up a bidding war to make sure he doesn't go to our direct competition. We just lost to Chicago this year. Now, I know we're in the other division, but still, direct competition as far as being in the West. Defensively, there's Ristolainen, Dumba, Ghost Bear, so a couple of strong options. Nobody... I mean, there might be someone worth signing there. Do we have any prospects here as well? Only one that's looking for max money. That's Travis Frazee, who, again, might be worth signing. Might come back to him if need be, but for the moment, I think we're okay. It's just, here, let me go look at our defensive situation again. So again, there is Vasilevsky. There were a couple of goalies worth signing, but we only have room for one more, and it's pretty much got to be Vasilevsky. And as it is, we're carrying one too many goalies anyway if we do end up signing Vasi. But let's take a look. So we got $55 million to spend. I have to spend some of this money. Defensively, it's Theodore Bronnstrom, Haig, Norton, Wu, Kane. If I sign anybody, someone, if not multiple people, who are potential top 6 roles, are going to have to play down in the minors next year. So I have the choice of bringing in a big-time defenseman or just letting some of these guys develop, which is kind of a tough call, admittedly. I'm not entirely sure the best way or what the best way to go about that is. I mean, again, if we look at Risto, what did he do last year, point total-wise? 52. That's not bad. 52 points, $8 million a year, almost 9. Dumba, wow, Matt Dumba, 50 to 60 points for the past 4 years. Holy hell. He's developed into quite a player, too. And then there's Ghost Bear at 30, down to the 40-point range. Severson, Morrissey. So we could go for Dumba or Risto. Risto's interesting because he's only looking for 2 years. And then forward-wise, there's Drouin, Nylander, where it's just like, yeah, we can't afford to hand out any of the big money offers up front. We don't even necessarily need to. Forward-wise, we're pretty much good, and if we're not right now, we're going to be in the near future. So, especially after drafting who we did, there's no reason to sign a big-name forward. The only question is whether or not there's a half-decent prospect who is undrafted, and there's quite a few looking for that 950. So there's Serge Leclerc, who put up pretty good points, Andrew Chuck, Austin Meyer. Again, there are some ridiculous players that might be worth... Yeah, I'm signing Colton Hunwick. Oh my God. So if Colton Hunwick turns out to be an amazing player, that'll prove that it's worth looking for high-end undrafted players still. Because that is one of the most ridiculous points. He scored more goals than he played games. Some of the other guys might also be half decent. We're not going to know for sure. I'm going to try to sign him. Defensively as well, there was Frazee. Of course, I am worried about how many contracts we have right now and some of the other guys that we need to look to sign. Some of the other unsigned prospects that we have. That's kind of a tough one. I think I'm going to try to sign Frazee here too, just as the top defenseman that was undrafted and the top forward. And then defensively, I'm going to throw my name into the hat for Vasilevsky. He's only looking for 2 years. Actually, that's a mistake. No, there's 2 teams that are interested. He's looking for 5 years. 10 by 5 for Vasilevsky. That is a risk, and I don't know how long this will last for. But he is the goalie that we need. It's either we sign Vasilevsky to this deal, or we wait for our other goalies to develop. And the problem is, if we let Vasilevsky go, he's going to Nashville or Chicago. And we're going to have to deal with that probably in the conference final every year. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to send the money out to an offer out to Vasilevsky. And damn. Ristolainen and Dumba. That's a tough one. 7 years for the 28-year-old Risto. 5 years for Dumba. That is tough. Dallas and Winnipeg. Man, it's all Western teams that are looking to spend money, which isn't surprising when you consider the top 5 is all Western teams. Granted, the number 1 pick was there because of Columbus screwing up. But big money offer for a goaltender, no problem. Big money offer for a defenseman. When you factor in that we might be taking away some of the development time, it's a little bit less of a confidence move on my part. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but the wheels are churning and I'm trying to figure out what exactly to do here. So again, goaltending-wise, if we get Vasilevsky, cool. If not, we do still have some players that might develop in the future, including Gervais Chouinard. For now, we'll have Subban, and we'll have to sign a normal backup, unless we want to trust Kapainen to do it this season, which he might be good enough to, in fairness. Not that I want to run with these two as our starter, or as our tandem, but it could happen. Again, defensively, it's a tough call. That's 6 right there. Not factoring in Hatainen, Gertzen, and Eklund. I think, to be honest, we just kind of have to trust who we have here to develop. Because otherwise, our defense would be, say, Risto, Theodore, Bronstrom, Norton, Kane, Wu, Haig as the depth defenseman, and then Hatainen, Gertzen, and Eklund would all be down in the AHL again. And they would be taking away some time from some pretty solid prospects. It's not to say, too, that we still haven't signed Rositas. So I'm not as sold on a big-time defensive option. I'm really not. I'm more confident in our defensive prospects to develop because they're closer to being NHL ready than I am in sitting here waiting for one of our goaltending prospects to develop. So it's kind of tough. I'm going to sim forward today and see what the update is, but I hope that we get that forward prospect who looks like he could just be a monster. And I do hope as well that we get Andrei Vasilevsky, or that an Eastern Conference team swoops in and saves the day. Yeah, there are now 5 teams interested in Vasilevsky, so there is no guarantee that he signs with us. Again, I just kind of don't want him going to our direct competition. And then defensively, it's so tough to choose if I want to send an offer out to Risto or Dumba. I don't think I do. I don't think that I do. Because even if we sign them now, within a season or two, they're going to have to be dealt anyway. Whereas with Vasilevsky, there's no guarantees that like a Gervais Chouinard's going to be ready in 2 to 3 years. But defensively, we know that there's going to be that depth of talent. I'm just thinking here, though, because we had the two. Like, there is technically room for one. Forward-wise, again, like, there's nothing. Like, our top 6 is sorted, obviously. Even though we don't even have one of them signed yet. Risto or Dumba? I like Risto's point totals. Actually, 50s and 40s, whereas Dumba, 50s and 60s. Matt Dumba might be the way to go, and he's cheaper. A lot of teams are interested. $8 million though, over 5 years. Jesus, that's a lot of money. I think I'm going to hold off. Only big money I'm willing to spend right now is on a goalie and Vasilevsky, I think. No doubt that they'd help. So Colton Hunwick is signed. Frazee signed. No word from Vasilevsky. Here we go. Of course, no room for any big money forward. No room for any big money defenseman. There is, but it kind of doesn't make sense. Vasilevsky is waiting. Vasilevsky, we should get the answer here, has signed. Andrei Vasilevsky is a Vegas Golden Knight. And that changes the outlook of this team completely. So again, looking here, goaltending-wise, Vasilevsky and Subban as the 1-2 punch. Outside chance that someone like Nash gets traded, because otherwise he'd just be sitting there. Defensively, while I do still have space, again, Theodore Bronnstrom, Haig, Wu, Norton, Kane, Hatainen, like we already have a logjam of talent there. And then if you factor in that, okay, at the very least, like Norton and Kane are good to go. Future top 6, Theodore Bronnstrom as the second pairing isn't too bad. Or we bring in like a Matt Dumba, that could happen as well. And then forward-wise, I mean, our top 6 is fine. Our top 6 is fine. We have Lackey, Mason, Goldobin, Klassen, Dwyer, and Fotinos. So the big question here right now is just whether or not I send an offer to either of those 2 main free agents if they're still there. If not, we just look to fill up the roster, and I believe they're both gone. Yeah, they're both gone. So we'll see if that was the right decision. But we spend some big money. We get Andrei Vasilevsky. We have 3 roster spots left. I'm going to need to sign some people to some big money deals, as much as some people find this to be cheap. But we're going to let's sign old Adam McQuaid there. Don't think I didn't notice Adam McQuaid. Of course I did. It's Adam McQuaid. Colorado's interested. Well, Colorado, hate to tell you, I think, call it a hunch, I think I'm going to outbid you. And Ryan Getzlaf. Ryan Getzlaf as well. How would you like to be our depth forward for the season? And with that, we're pretty much good to go. And we're pretty much ready to head into the preseason. This roster isn't yet set. I know for a fact we're going to have to rely on another trade or two, as I do not want to trade a first-round pick for Slavin. Thank you. Getzlaf signed as well. I'm going to have to clear out the trade block here. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep getting spammed with offers. We'll just try to clear out those 3 to see if that stops it. But a very interesting turn of events as we end up re-signing some players. We then have Winnipeg wanting to trade their second-round pick, or being open to trading their second overall pick. That leads to a crazy chain reaction where we trade up once, and then the thought of, oh, well, we kind of need a defenseman more than this forward, so let's trade up again to get one of the 2 defensemen. We end up doing that, and then that leads to this offseason where we end up signing Andrei Vasilevsky, who certainly solves our goaltending issues and could create an interesting situation in the future once we see what we have with the likes of Gervais Chouinard and others. Never a dull episode in that I never know what the hell to expect by the end of this. Just nothing but curveballs from EA this year. That is for sure. Let's take a look here. We're listed as contenders. That's going to get to be even more ridiculous in a moment, as I believe we only have one roster spot left. But let's go to unsigned. We will sign Fotinos for obvious reasons. I am going to have to deal that other goaltender. I don't remember his name. I think he was medium or high fringe. He definitely needs to go, just because we have too many goaltenders signed anyway. It's Nash. He's high fringe, so he's got to go. Not sure where. Is there a team that wants him just to try and maximize profits? The answer is no. Outside of Arizona, who can't afford to take him on. Let's see. Buffalo, congratulations. You could use a 5th goaltender. How would you like this guy for a 2nd-round pick? Rejected. Value just isn't there whatsoever. I disagree, but okay. How would you like a 3rd and a 4th? For this goaltender that you don't want? How about a 3rd and a 6th for this goaltender that you don't want? Thank you very much. That works for me. Now I can sign our 5th overall pick of a defenseman, and we can see if he's NHL ready as well, because guess what? He might be. All the more reason as to why I was very nervous or weary of signing anybody else in terms of high priority defensemen. So there we go. We're currently on 50 contracts. I can guarantee you another trade or two will have to be made just to make sure we're not having people sit there for no reason. So goaltenders, Vasilevsky and Subban, with Kapainen, Hovland, and Dirksen in the minors. Defensively, Theodore Bronnstrom, Haig, Wu, Norton, Kane, Hatainen. It's kind of a tough call. Now, Kane's listed as a depth defenseman. I think for that reason, I'm going to send him down. And as it appears, Adam McQuaid might not even be that bad. And technically, you have Gertzen, who is allegedly ready. So, not to mention, we don't know what we have in Rositas or Frazee, both of whom we're going to call up for the preseason. So, kind of a weird situation here where I don't even know what the hell this team's going to look like by the time the season starts. We also need to find out how good Fotinos and Hunwick are. I'm particularly interested in Hunwick for obvious reasons. So we'll try to sort this out. And from here, we're pretty much good to go. Let's just sim through the regular season. We'll see what we get as far as overall numbers, and we'll set up this roster for the beginning of the season. I might, just out of pure intrigue, sim a little bit into the regular season to see what we have here with the 2 top 5 draft picks, which, oh boy, again, I can't help but think, because the first time we did some of those moves, people were like, don't worry about it, it's not overkill. I do wonder if the same people are going to be like, okay, now it's kind of overkill. Although literally now, there really isn't a way for me to trade up again. Actually, no, wait, that's a lie, because we ended up taking another medium elite goalie. So, it keeps happening. Once you begin the prospect factory, it never ends. It never ends. As our opening game of the season is actually 2 straight games against Vancouver to start the year. Let's get the roster set up. Fotinos is showing up as an 80, but that's not locked in. Cody Glass is up to an 86. Oh my god. So Rositas is also an 80. Jesus. So, yeah. I should still be able to send guys down, right? I should. So Hatainen, I'm sorry, but I think you're done. So we have, I think that's our 7 right there. So yeah, now imagine too if I signed Dumba or Ristolainen. Like, what the hell would we even do? Aside from being like, okay, well, Jet Wu and Nick Hague are gone. Which, to be honest, might have to happen anyway, because we do have 2 guys down in the minors who are NHL ready, at least by role, and the other 2 are depth, and that's not even confirmed yet. So this is ridiculous. And then 11-12. Hunwick is a 74. Do we have a listed potential? Medium 9. That's not bad. He was a 3rd-round pick of the Sabres. It was worth taking a risk signing him. That's actually not too bad of a signing, to be honest. It's just he's not anything too crazy. But yeah, his AHL numbers were nuts. So we need to call up you 2 And then where is Ryan Getzlaf already on the roster? Wow, Ryan Getzlaf is still an 80, huh? That is not what I was expecting, but okay. So we have our 10, 11, 12, right? So I need to call up one of the guy anyway. Stelio, Verbata, or Bembridge. That's a tough one. So yeah, we have our 10, 11, 12. Right. Let's go with Stelio just because we know what he is for sure. And we'll end up changing things up with this roster once the season truly gets underway. So right now, our roster's looking like this, and that top 9 is stupid good. Not to mention, I'm actually going to sit Getzlaf. Getzlaf is better than I thought he was going to be for this point in his career. So Dylan Dubé can play center. And I think what we're going to do here, who has... So, I mean, Dwyer and Klassen have to be on the top line. Cody Glass is also listed as a first liner. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So can Lackey can play center. So we go like Dwyer, Glass, Klassen, Mason, Lackey, Goldobin, Flatinos, Suzuki, and Roach. With power play time, we might be able to keep everybody happy. And then defensively, it's still just ridiculous. Bronstrom, Theodore, Rositas, Norton, Hagen, Wu, with McQuaid as the healthy scratch. Vasilevsky between the pipes. And then down in the AHL, it's still ridiculous. They're the defending champions and are going to be looking even better than they did last year. Now it's just a matter of waiting to see what these true overalls and potentials are once the season gets going. And like I said, we're going to have too many guys as healthy scratches anyway that we're probably going to have to make a trade or two. This is insane. But in terms of organizational depth, this is exactly what we wanted. So with that, because there's already so much to discuss, we're going to leave it there. I am very much intrigued to see the feedback to this. And in the next episode, a new season begins. More trades will probably have to be made. And I think, to say the least, it could be a very special season for us. I got nothing left to say. Support the video, support the channel, check out everything in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Calling this a new era at this point is an understatement.